Welcome to Thursday, January 7th, 2021. Well, as we go now into the downhill side of this first full week of the new year, weather-wise, we're going to see one system go north, one system go south. And when they split like this, the one benefit is you don't get a lot of wind. So that's one good thing about the weather here over the next few days. We're not going to have any major wind events. After today, we're looking at it being fairly quiet for a while. We're going to see some snow for Montana and northern Wyoming and parts of western South Dakota later today and tonight. So there's going to be a little bit of a weather system moving through, but only a few flurries for southern Wyoming and northern Colorado. Now there's going to be a small storm system that's going to take a track more south. Now it's going to impact parts of Colorado, especially southern Colorado, New Mexico, Kansas, and Texas. In fact, we're going to see more snow in Texas this weekend and other parts of Canada. It's kind of amazing, really. Now, we have still a stratospheric warming event taking place, a polar vortex forming. Changes are still coming mid-month. So it's one of those situations to where we're getting more and more confident that the United States and Canada will see a much colder pattern evolving during the second half of January. We just got to wait for it. It's going to still be about 10 days away or so before it comes on in. This is what we're looking at today. We have a trough coming into western Wyoming and into Montana. This is what's going to be the weather maker today. Here's the next weather maker coming in for Saturday. This is what came through earlier in the week. So the systems continue to be rather busy, coast to coast, moving through rather quickly. By Saturday afternoon, this guy up here ends up down here. And what we end up having is a system just south of the Four Corners area. Now, usually this type of storm system could be a big producer of precipitation over a large area, but it's going to be rather small and compact. But what we're going to see is an area of precipitation forming like this with this storm system as it swings on through. It's going to bring a fair amount of cold air. So we got one system going this way tonight and tomorrow, another system going this way for Friday night and Saturday. So they're splitting. So in the middle here, you're just not going to get much weather. This is what the forecast for snow looks like through Sunday afternoon. This snow up here in the northern tier is basically coming over the next 24 hours or so. So you can see there is going to be a little bit of snow up along I-90, parts of southern Montana, northern Wyoming, back into the panhandles of Idaho, back into the Pacific Northwest, a little bit of snow in the Wasatch, although this is what's coming for Saturday. Notice down here the purple and the pinks. And these are snow accumulations. Look at that. Now we'll go focus in a little bit further south and look at this swath of ice and snow that's going to be forming over a large part of Texas and New Mexico. This is going to be quite a system this far south. So you'll likely be hearing about this one on the news as parts of Texas looking at a major winter storm. And the system is going to slide off to the east and cause more winter weather early next week. So all the action is down south. There's going to be parts of Texas and New Mexico that have more snow coming than the Dakotas or Minnesota or Wisconsin. So you can see what will happen with the system as it slides south. As we see that system leave the region, what we're going to see is the jet stream straighten out for a few days. Now, when jet streams straighten out, they eventually buckle, and that's when you start to see the weather pattern change we've been talking about take place. So you can see now by the early to middle parts of next week, it's a Pacific-dominated flow of air with high pressure right here. So what will happen is late in the weekend and early next week, we're going to be mild, we're going to be dry, and the first half of next week we'll have very little weather in the western United States. But look what happens. As we get to the end of the week, this is Tuesday night, Wednesday. This is Thursday night, Friday. See the buckle? See the change from flat to lots of dips and ridges and troughs? Well, here's the change beginning to come. By Thursday night into Friday, a ridge builds up into Alaska, the door opens to Canada, and we've got some really strong jet stream winds coming in right here. There's also a prediction right now that there's a fair amount of moisture in this flow, and you're going to see an Arctic front, or at least a stronger surge of colder air, come in. And if you get those stronger jet stream winds over that cold air boundary, you do get some upslope and you do get some snow. So what we see is the first salvo of cold and maybe some snow coming to parts of the Intermountain West as we get into Thursday night and Friday of next week. I think that's when things start to evolve and start to get more active and more cold. This is by the 17th of January. We keep coming close to that date. That's really when we start to see the polar vortex forming here, that pocket of really cold air. That is super cold right there. Winds aloft, the trajectory of the air is coming in from the north. So you can see from the continental divide and points east, the nation is going to be getting a lot colder by next weekend. Now this is out to 15 days. This is out to the 23rd of January. What you can see here is the jet stream is riding further south. It's going, look at this, the main jet stream really goes south. So the door to the cold air comes in. And what will happen here is we got a pocket of really cold air here, a pocket of really cold air here, a pocket of really cold air here. And what will happen is these vortexes of cold kind of go rotate around the high like this, and what will end up happening is you're going to get these salvos of cold air that'll come in during the last 2 weeks of January and maybe into early February. So could this change? Yes, but we keep seeing it in our charts. We've got some large scale features, hemispheric features that continue to advertise that. And look at the cold. Now this is, again, it's a computer model. Remember, computer models are not reality. Reality is what happens for real. Models are just a tool, they're not reality. But we can use these models as tools to help us anticipate weather pattern changes. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. But notice, by that 23rd of January, the extent of below normal temperatures across a large part of North America. Now, I have to tell you, if you're 30 degrees below normal in the Yukon in January, you can imagine how cold those temperatures are. And look at the push of colder air deep into the nation's midsection, even getting to the East Coast. So there's a lot on the table here. I mean, you're talking about moving natural gas prices. You're talking about a really formidable change in stark contrast to the very mild winter that we've had. So will it happen? Well, we think the chances are growing that it will, but the devil is in the details. So we'll keep an eye out for you over the next couple of weeks to see if this weather pattern does change. In the meantime, there's just not a lot of happening. Now let's take a look at the latest La Nina sea surface temperature conditions. These are sea surface temperature conditions as of Monday afternoon. All the blue and the green shows you the robust La Nina continuing from South America across the subtropics. We're continuing to see this part of the North Pacific beginning to cool off a little bit as well. So the basin continues to see dropping sea surface temperature conditions. Want to show you previous years. I want to show you, first of all, where we were last year. These are sea surface temperatures last year. We have this little cold pool here, but it's not in the tropics, so it's really not going to impact the weather much. We basically had a neutral situation with sea surface temperatures in the La Nina region, but look how warm the Pacific was over such a large area with neutral conditions at the equator. That's why last winter is so much different than this winter when we have this. It's amazing how quickly these sea surface temperatures over months and weeks will evolve and change. And they always are changing, and they are always going to give you a different set of circumstances every year. Now let's go and take a look at a similar year to what we're experiencing now. So we went back and we took a look at the last time we had a La Nina that was this robust. And this goes back to January 2011. And a lot of folks remember in this part of the country, 2011 into 2012, 2012 in particular, was a really bad drought year. And we also, in 2011, in the La Nina, had tremendous snowpacks in the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies that came in late. That came in March, April, and into May. And that's something we're going to keep an eye on. The only really difference is this cold pool in the Gulf of Alaska that we had in January 2011. We don't have that this year. We have temperatures that are a little above average but cooling off. So we're going to watch this area here. It's highly unlikely we're going to see temperatures like this developing. As you can see, they're pretty warm up there right now. However, This area here of the Pacific is very similar to what we're experiencing right now. So 2011 looks to be what we would call an analog year, a year that matches up closely to what we're experiencing right now. Thanks for watching and listening to the Day Weather Podcast. Have a good Thursday. We'll see you on Friday.